we have an obligation in Washington as leaders to make sure that we are sending a strong message, that we can disagree without being disagreeable, without questioning each other's motives. When we start caricaturing the other side, I think that's a problem. Unfortunately, we've got, as I said before, a 24-hour news cycle where what gets you on the news is controversy. What gets you on the news is the extreme statement. The easiest way to get 15 minutes on the news, or your 15 minutes of fame, is to be rude. And that's something that I think has to change, and it starts with me, and I've tried to make sure that I've sent a clear signal, and I've tried to maintain an approach that says, look, we can have some serious disagreements, but at the end of the day, I'm assuming that you want the best for America just like I do.
You get a lot of airtime, too, though, and your views are not rude. I don't think you'd...
Well, you know, I do occupy a pretty special seat at the moment. But I do think that, look, I mean, let's face it. If you look at the news cycle over the last week, you know, it hasn't been the sensible people who, you know, very deliberately talk about the important issues that we face as a country. That's not the folks who've gotten a lot of coverage.
Let me ask you about another important issue facing you and your administration, and that is Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We've now been in Afghanistan for 8 years. The Soviets pulled out of Afghanistan after 10 years.
Right.
Are we committed to this war for an indefinite period of time, or do you think, in your mind, is there a deadline for withdrawal?
I don't have a deadline for withdrawal, but I'm certainly not somebody who believes in indefinite occupations of other countries. Keep in mind what happened when I came in. We had been adrift, I think, when it came to our Afghanistan strategy. And what I said was that we are going to do a top-to-bottom review of what's taking place there. Not just a one-time review, but we're going to do a review before the election in Afghanistan, and then we're going to do another review after the election. And we are going to see how this is fitting what I think is our core goal, which is to go after the folks who killed 3,000 Americans during 9/11 and who are still plotting to kill us, Al-Qaeda. How do we dismantle them, disrupt them, destroy them? Now, getting our strategy right in Afghanistan and in Pakistan are both important elements of that, but that's our goal, and I want to stay focused on that. And so right now, what's happened is that we've had an election in Afghanistan. It did not go as smoothly as I think we would have hoped, and there are some serious issues in terms of how the election was conducted in some parts of the country. But we've had that election. We now finally have the 21,000 troops in place that I had already ordered to go.
Are you skeptical about more troops? About sending more troops?
Well, can I just say this? I have to exercise skepticism anytime I send a single young man or woman in uniform into harm's way, because I'm the one who's answerable to their parents if they don't come home. So I have to ask some very hard questions anytime I send our troops in. The question that I'm asking right now is to our military, to General McChrystal, to General Petraeus, to all our national security apparatus, is whether it's troops who are already there or any troop requests in the future, how does this advance America's national security interests? How does it make sure that Al-Qaeda and its extremist allies cannot attack the United States homeland, our allies, our troops who are based in Europe? That's the question that I'm constantly asking, because that's the primary threat that we went there to deal with. And if supporting the Afghan national government and building capacity for their army and securing certain provinces advances that strategy, then we'll move forward. But if it doesn't, then I'm not interested in just being in Afghanistan for the sake of being in Afghanistan or saving face or in some way sending a message that America is here for the duration. I think it's important that we match strategy to resources. What I'm not also going to do, though, is put the resource question before the strategy question. Until I'm satisfied that we've got the right strategy, I'm not going to be sending some young man or woman over there beyond what we already have.
On a lighter note, before I let you go, Mr. President, you were brazen this summer at the All-Star Game wearing your Chicago White Sox jacket out there to throw out the first pitch. Hate to break it to you, but it doesn't look so good for your White Sox here. So I want to know, who is your pick to win the World Series?
You know, I think mathematically the White Sox can still get in the playoffs.
They can, mathematically.
So
you're an optimist.
Until they are eliminated, I will make no predictions.
Oh, come on.
I've got to say, though, that the Cardinals have been coming on strong. And Pujols is unbelievable.
He is.
But this is tough to say. The Yankees are also doing pretty well. And a shout-out to Derek Jeter for breaking Lou Gehrig's record. He's a classic.